A special look at Russia's continuing invasion of Ukraine. Good evening and welcome to Faith Nation. From the CBN headquarters in Virginia Beach, I'm Brody Carter. Well, throughout the Kremlin's ongoing invasion, Russian forces have littered Ukraine with landmines, resulting in the deaths of over 1,000 people, most of them civilians. CBN's George Thomas reports from the front lines, where Ukrainian forces are undertaking one of the largest mine-clearing operations since World War II.
You have to always look on the ground and also keep your eyes ahead. Look left, look right, in front of you, and certainly under your feet.
For Ukrainian Army engineer Yaroslav Kastran, every step brings deadly risk.
You need to be brave to do this job.
A husband and father of two, Kastran is part of Ukraine's armed forces' elite mine-clearing division.
Every day my wife tells me to take care of myself. I'm on a mission to clean my land of everything evil that Russia brought to us, so that the kids and people who walk these fields and through the roads can do so without any danger to themselves.
At an undisclosed field near Ukraine's front line here in the south, Kastran invited CBN News to witness as he and fellow mine clearers scoured what was once a battlefront with Russian forces. In almost every direction you look, you see red signs, a skull and crossbones with a warning, danger, mines. In other spots, sticks with red and white paint dot the landscape, warning people to keep out.
Very often here we find anti-tank mines called TM-62. There are anti-infantry mines, also called landmines. We've seen cluster munitions, grenades, shrapnel from multiple launch rocket systems and other dangerous explosives.
The Russians have deployed a number of landmines here in Ukraine. One in particular is a new kind and extremely deadly. It's called the Palm 2 and Palm 3 landmine.
The kill zone from a POM-2 or POM-3 is 20 meters, so this means death. And if you are more than 20 meters away, you may be wounded by shrapnel, so it's easier to disarm it in an open area because you can see it from far away. But in tall grass, it is very difficult to detect because they are very thin.
More than 2 years after Russia's invasion, Ukraine is clogged with explosives.
Ukraine is one of the most mined countries in the world right now. Roughly 30% of the country has mines. It will take many years to demine and get back to our normal life, but we are working on it.
The mines have slowed Ukraine's efforts to launch counter-offensives in Russian-occupied territories.
Russia isn't sleeping, and it's dreaming about getting back to our country and destroying our family and our nation.
In this conflict zone area alone, with about 1,000 bomb disposal experts deployed, officials say more than 155,000 Russian mines, tripwires, unexploded shells, and other explosives have been destroyed. All happening as war rages just a few miles away. Often at the forefront of combat operations, Kastran's unit's motto is to stay ahead, to save life.
There is no active combat right here, but above our heads rockets and Iranian drones are flying, and from time to time artillery shellings happen. Today we are working these fields, tomorrow we may be fighting in combat, and we have to be ready for it.
In a nearby field where farmer Andreas Nadicki is preparing to plant seeds, he's grateful that Kastran's men have left his plot of land mine-free.
If it wasn't for these guys, who else would help us? War is war, but we need to work as well. So big thanks to them for helping us get back on our feet.
Ukraine says these Russian mines have killed nearly 1,000 people, the majority of them civilians.
I am not afraid of death. I consciously chose this job, and I know that death is a very real possibility.
George Thomas, CBN News, Kherson, Ukraine.
Well, coming up, gone in an instant, Ukrainian children kidnapped by Russian soldiers. We speak to survivors when Faith Nation returns. One of the darkest aspects of this war is the disappearance of thousands of Ukrainian children, many stolen from their homes and taken far from their families. Remarkably, some of these children have escaped, and they're sharing their stories. Jenna Browder spoke with 3 teenagers now using their voices to raise awareness.
It's a war now entering its 3rd year. After Russia invaded Ukraine, Denis, Lisa, and Rostislav of the Kherson region saw their lives upended.
How did your kidnapping happen?
One day, some of my teachers came and said that all of us should be going to Crimea to the camp. Then I went home, and that day in the evening, the Russian military came to my house and said that you had no choice, you're going.
That camp and 42 other Russian facilities went about indoctrinating kidnapped Ukrainian children.
They forced children to love Russia in these camps. They forced children to sing and to learn Russian anthem and Russian songs. And if you resist, if you wouldn't do it, they could punish you or even to put you in some foster family in Russia.
Were you afraid that you could have been adopted, or what do you think would have happened to you had you not been rescued?
After the camp, I was moved to occupied city Genichisk, and I was forced to go to some college there. And I knew that they were going to get me a Russian passport, and they were looking for foster family for me.
Ukraine has accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of fast-tracking citizenship for kidnapped Ukrainian children. And the International Criminal Court has issued a warrant for Putin's arrest on war crimes charges in connection with these kidnappings.
I was suffering from psychological abuse a lot of time, because when teachers, caregivers, and psychologists there knew that my mom was going to come and bring me back, all this period they were like pressuring on me that it was all lie, that my mom wouldn't come.
All 3 teens say they suffered abuse in the camps. For Denis, who's diabetic, he was told he wouldn't get his medicine if he didn't obey.
There was an accident when this Astahov came to me and said if I wouldn't obey to Russia, I just would die in this camp because of my disease.
Perhaps the most alarming story is Rostislav's, who refused to sing the Russian national anthem.
If you say no for the first time, you must write an explanational paper why you don't want to sing the Russian anthem. If you refuse for the second time, you will be having this private conversation with this policeman Astahov. If you refuse for the 3rd time, you will be put in some solitary confinement.
His 3rd refusal led to more than 2 weeks in solitary confinement. Their stories are the stories of thousands of Ukrainian children. Ukraine has identified at least 30,000 children who have been deported to Russia, but it's feared that number is actually much higher.
Because we can't identify a lot of kids who've been kidnapped from Mariupol or from another occupied territories whose parents were killed or imprisoned or disappeared, and Russia don't want to give us any information about these children.
Mykola Kuliba began Save Ukraine, an organization that's helped rescue hundreds of these children.
We are telling that Russia committing genocide, kidnapping children, deporting children, and brainwashing them and weaponizing them. All children who live now on occupied territory or in Russia Federation, horribly brainwashing.
He says Russia's goal is to erase their identity bit by bit.
They give children passports, Russian passports, birth certificates. They adopting children after giving them Russian citizenship. All this system works for erasing identity, for converting Ukrainian children to Russian children. And then weaponize them through their different military movements.
Save Ukraine helped rescue Denis, Lisa, and Rostislav.
Lisa, how did you finally escape?
My mom came to me to bring me back, and she was forced to sign lots of papers They were checking her. I was happy. I ran to her to hug her. I was crying. And then after that, there was a very long and hard road home.
The specific details of their rescues have to be kept private. Mikola calls it an underground railroad. All three are now receiving rehabilitation at Save Ukraine's Hope and Healing Center. It's a 6-month program to help them and their families get back on their feet. They came to Washington with Save Ukraine to raise awareness for the thousands of other children still being held.
We're asking everybody who could help us to help Ukraine survive, help Ukraine win in this horrible war, and pray for us.
In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Trapped between two armies, Christians brave artillery fire to help those in need. Faith Nation takes us to the Ukrainian city of Kherson next. As Ukraine puts up a counteroffensive and tries to take Russian land, the Kremlin isn't backing down. Inside Ukraine, much of the most intense fighting has been seen in the southern city of Kherson. Here again is George Thomas to bring us this first-hand report on a brave group of Christians who've been working during the war to bring aid and comfort to those trapped.
This is my friend Vitaly. We are running, trying to escape from the road. He was hit.
On an isolated road north of Ukraine's frontline battle with Russian forces here in Kherson, CBN News joined a convoy of cars bringing urgent aid to villagers trapped by fighting as a Russian drone narrowly misses the lead car carrying Pastor Vitaly. Moving forward, we see the damage. All 4 tires ripped to shreds, windows shattered, and shrapnel throughout the car. Fortunately, Pastor Vitaly and the others are miraculously unharmed. They drive a few more miles down the road to make sure they are out of drone range.
This is how things look like in Kherson. But since the life is saved, God protected all the vehicle, that's a piece of cake. That's our neighbor. She was killed in that house. By the way, and
This was your neighbor, she died here?
Yes, yes. A lady, elderly lady, she died here. And all the buildings are damaged, and there are people, and they are already waiting for us.
Our guide, Yevgeny Bondarenko, fully understands the risks involved in a war zone. He serves with Mission Eurasia, a Christian organization that's been ministering here since war started in 2022. Bondarenko is from Kherson. Multiple times a day, artillery and mortar fire rain down on the city as both sides defend their positions. What you're seeing there is a tributary that leads to the Dnieper River. The Dnieper River, in essence, divides the city of Kherson into 2. The left bank, behind me, is controlled by the Ukrainians. The right bank is controlled by the Russians. There is less than 3 miles that separates the 2 armies. 85% of Kherson residents fled more than 2 years ago. Bondarenko stayed back to bring aid and comfort to those remaining. On this day, as Russian forces launched mortars toward Ukrainian positions, CBN News witnessed Bondarenko and a fellow pastor move quickly as explosions go off nearby to distribute supplies to dozens of residents trapped between the 2 armies. Olena, darting out of her home, still wearing her nightgown, holds her young son tight and waits in line.
This is our home. Yes, of course we're scared. But where else can we go? War is everywhere. At least we don't feel abandoned today, that someone has come with aid and cares for us.
Bondarenko takes time at the end to share a word of encouragement from the Bible and leads the group in prayer for safety. Neighborhood resident Anastasia is touched by the ministry time.
I realize my confidence and boldness must come from the Bible. God says to rely on Him and He will not abandon us.
That promise brought Svetlana Harikatova and a team of Mission Eurasia medical volunteers to this village not far from the front lines. 5 doctors, a cardiologist, urologist, family doctor, and ophthalmologist volunteer around the clock, caring for folks who haven't seen a specialist in months.
We've been traveling to the war zone areas for some time now because these places don't have functioning medical facilities, or there isn't one that's easily accessible because of the ongoing conflict.
About a year ago, Mission Eurasia decided that the only way to reach some of these hardest hit regions, especially those areas that are in the conflict zone, was to use a mobile clinic. And so today they travel extensively throughout the east as well as the southern parts of Ukraine.
In the south and east of Ukraine, the medical logistics is difficult, complicated, or destroyed, so people cannot get to a large city with a hospital. So that's why the medical mobile clinics comes to them.
In addition to medical outreach, Mission Eurasia partners with several Christian organizations to train more than 1,000 volunteers to provide counseling in these times of war.
There are so many people who need help, not only medical help, but also psychological help. So that's why every mobile clinic outreach includes professionals who can assist with trauma care.
Whether it's delivering wood stoves to families in areas with damaged electrical grids, to printing more than 2 million copies of the Bible, or providing food to war victims, Horenkov, Bondarenko, and the Mission Eurasia volunteers have a singular mission: rebuild their war-torn nation while sharing the love of Christ.
What we are doing here is fulfilling Christ's commandments, and it is obvious that people see that those who help them are connected to the church, so they are more open to the gospel, and they are more open to becoming part of a church community.
George Thomas, CBN News, Kherson, Ukraine.
Helping heal invisible injuries. Still to come, the daunting work of chaplains in war-torn Ukraine. Finally tonight, with casualties in the hundreds of thousands in the Ukraine war, many of the injured bear not only physical and visible wounds, but also unseen emotional pain too. Ukrainian chaplains offer spiritual healing to those wounds. CBN contributor Chuck Holton reports on the growing demand for these caregivers for the soul.
This Ukrainian medic's GoPro camera video reveals the war's chaos. An artillery shell explodes near his car, wounding him before he can ensure his patient's safety. Despite his injuries, he persists in his mission of caring for comrades, highlighting these heroes' crucial role. Once the wounded arrive at the aid station, Army chaplains immediately comfort and pray for them.
We call them hospitaliers. They only work in hospitals, intensive care units, amputees, psychiatric clinics. And also there's narco clinics that we work with, and lots of soldiers do get addicted because of the stress PTSD that they face. And they cannot cope with it, so we need to work with them. They're struggling. Lots of them lost their families.
While medics can treat the physical injuries, emotional trauma persists. With a shortage of medics, chaplains often take on the responsibility, providing aid and healing to both soldiers and civilians. Many chaplains maintain strong personal connections to the area, which can intensify their challenges.
Lots of them have their families in occupied territory. At this moment, they cannot do anything to it. So we have problems. The chaplains I work with, they go front lines. We go all the way across the front line. In my team, we've got 2 women, both of us mothers of 5.
Christian Hickey, an American Green Beret and ex-police officer, relocated to Ukraine last year, committed to helping these chaplains.
Chaplaincy is not something that's been around at all in Ukraine. It was just officially established in 2022 after the war started. It had unofficially started in 2014. But now I sit on a board where I can actually have direct insight and give great advice on how the chaplaincy corps should work and help train those chaplains so they can go out and help soldiers who are seeking answers, who are looking for something, and this reveal Christ to them right there in the trenches.
Chaplains recognize the critical nature of their mission.
If a soldier is conscious, then we talk to them. We hold their hands. We try to take their attention away from their wounds. Medics like us because they like to work with chaplains because we stabilize them.
This mission is so important. It's the person on the ground, Russian or Ukrainian, who are fighting each other, who are dying, and who are needing some sort of help. We want to stand in solidarity, say, hey, we love you, we're here to support you, and to give them something that's everlasting. It's not something that's internal, not something that's going to go away after we leave.
What we want to do is we want to preach the pure gospel, just like pray to them, lead them to Jesus, take their hands, and like literally pray and they accept Jesus Christ in their hearts.
The wartime horrors can affect the chaplains as deeply as the soldiers. Katerina reflects on her emotions just after hearing of a friend's death.
If you ask me to describe what war is, I'd probably use one word to describe it. It's just a waste. It's just a waste of money or resources, a waste of lives, waste of where sometimes we run out of strength. There's just a waste of a whole country, and it's absolutely pointless. Absolutely pointless. At the end, nobody wins.
Chuck Holton, CBN News, Ukraine.
That's going to do it for Faith Nation. Have a great night.